Welcome to Cultimatum, the podcast uncovering the dark realities of cults and human trafficking. I'm your host, Anonymous Andrew, and each week we dive deep into the manipulation, control, and courageous escapes that define these worlds.
And I'm Melody, Andrew's co-host. Having experienced the depth of a cult firsthand, specifically the House of Yahweh, I am here as an advocate for fellow survivors.
The views and opinions expressed by our guests are their own and do not reflect the official policy or position of Cultimatum or its affiliates. The content discussed on this podcast are based on personal experiences and should not be construed as factual or legal advice. Neither the host nor the guest are liable for any statements made during the episodes. Listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research and seek professional advice where appropriate.
And before we dive into today's episode, we want to issue a trigger warning. Some episodes may cover explicit and potentially disturbing subjects such as sexual abuse, rape, human trafficking, suicide, and other sensitive subjects. Listener discretion is advised. Hey, Cultimatum fans, before we dive into today's episode, we need a tiny favor from each of you.
That's right. If you love what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review us on Apple and Spotify.
Your support helps us to reach new listeners and bring more awareness and attention to these important topics.
So tap that star rating, drop a quick review, and help us spread the word. It really does make a difference.
Thank you so much for tuning in and for your amazing support. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Now let's get started with the show.
Here we go. Welcome back to Cultimatum, the culture of cult and human trafficking. And my name is Anonymous Andrew. And with me tonight is my co-host Melody. Hello, Melody.
Hello, Andrew. Today's guest is someone who found us through TikTok, proof that sharing survivor stories online really does make a difference. Kat is a former Jehovah's Witness who reached out to us about sharing her story. We're honored to have her here with us. Today she's here speaking out about what she experienced, what she lost, and what it's taken to rebuild her life on her own terms. Kat, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. A little nervous, like I said before, but I'm ready.
Deep breath. And when you're ready, start your story.
So I wasn't raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I was raised as a Protestant, but around the age of between 16 and 18, I started, questioning who is God? What is God? I was in a really, really shitty relationship. It was bad. I prayed my way out of it. I said, God, if you just help me get out of this situation, I promise you that I will, the first chance I get to know who you are, I will serve you. So I got out of the situation and I met my first husband. And he said to me, I said, I want to be married and have children and raise a family together. And he was like, well, I want all those things too. But I have to say, I believe in the Jehovah's Witness religion. I was raised that way, born into it. I've never been baptized, but that's what I believe. So if you have a problem with that, I was like, I don't even know what that is. So, tell me about it. I was curious. I'm like, do you believe in God? And he said, yes. I said, do you believe in Jesus? He said, yes. So I said, okay, let's go with it. So his mom, he introduced me to his mom and she started a Bible study with me. And, for a couple of years, I dabbled in and out of it. I didn't want to give up holidays and didn't want to give up my birthday. And, I knew I would have to draw away from my family. And because this is what I was told, when you become part of Jehovah's organization, you get all new things. You get all new family. What you lose in the world, you gain 100-fold in the truth.
Right.
So we had our first son in 2006, still was not just studying here and there, not giving up anything. Our second son in 2008, I started to get a little bit more serious. And then I had my daughter in 2011. And that's when I really got serious because I was like, I have 3 children in this earth that is a terrible place. In my mind, they have brainwashed me to believe that this world is terrible and the world's going to end before my children graduate high school. My daughter's going to high school this year, freshman year. My oldest son just graduated in 2024. So I started really studying. I gave up everything. I studied with a couple of sisters And until finally I met, and we're just gonna call her NM, and she loved my family, she loved me, and a part of me, I still love her. She was very good to me and my children. She studied with me and she got me to baptism. My marriage was tumultuous, but they kept telling me, you keep, First Peter 3, I think it says, a good wife, will win her husband over without a word. So here I am still trying to win this man over, trying to get him to come into the Kingdom Hall with me, come to meetings, come to Bible studies, come to do whatever, come to conventions, assemblies. And, he did sometimes, but he was very abusive. And I would go to the elders to talk to them, and they would say, keep enduring, keep enduring, keep enduring. There was one time that trigger warning that I was in the second school with two of the elders, one of the overseer and one of the they have levels of elders, not levels, but they have like different categories of them. So the overseer and one of the older elders, and I told him, I was like, I'm going to kill myself to get out of this marriage. If you do not do something to help my family, I'm going to hang myself in my closet. They didn't even say anything to me. They said, we'll give you a shepherding call. We'll come to the house. We'll come and talk to you. They did nothing. Now we're
Okay.
going down the line.
I just
Okay,
want
hold
to
on.
clarify something real quick. Okay,
Mhm.
so I thought he was the Jehovah's Witness and he wanted you to join, but he wasn't going to the meetings himself. Can you elaborate on that just a bit?
This is what he believed in. This is what he told me. I believe in this. This is the way of life. This is the right way to live. That Jehovah's way is the only way. But he never did anything with it, ever. But he didn't celebrate any holidays. He didn't, he smoked weed, he
Okay.
smoked cigarettes, but he was very abusive. When I was baptized, he would say to me, you're the baptized witness. You're the one who has to act accordingly. I'm not baptized. So I'm saying
Oh,
to him, but you know the truth. Like, we had this brother, and his name was Brother Peckham. I'm going to use his name because God rest his soul. He's deceased now. He died during COVID from pancreatic cancer. He's known my ex-husband since he was a little boy. And he sat at the table with us and said, brother, if you stand on this table, beating on your chest, demanding respect from this fine sister here, but you ain't showing her love, you don't deserve that respect. And looked at him right in the face and he said, I don't agree with you. He said, love is not a prerequisite for respect.
It sounds to me like your ex-husband, ex now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So very ex.
He used JW to his advantage.
Yes. And he
Yeah,
still does. It's sick how he does still. It
and the
real
fact that he didn't get baptized, because I know a little bit about that. When you're baptized, you're like they really got their claws into you
Oh,
because
yeah.
yeah, you can leave without getting disfellowshipped or something, right?
Yep.
If you're not baptized,
Right
so he sucks you in and
Yep.
throws you to the wolves, but he stays on the outside.
Yep.
Interesting.
Never committed. And it was funny because I married him because, like, I was pregnant with my second son when I married him, and I was studying, but I hadn't given everything up yet, but they basically were like, "Well, if you wanna progress in your studies, you're gonna have to get married because you're living in sin, you're pregnant with your second child, you really should get married to him." I didn't wanna marry him. My mother's not here right now, but my mother will tell you when I was walking into that, event hall where we had our wedding, and I looked at her and I said, Mom, I shouldn't be doing this. And she was like, the limo's outside, let's go. And I couldn't do it because I felt like I was disrespecting Jehovah. I felt like I was disrespecting the friends that I had like become friends with and developed relationships with, even though I wasn't baptized yet. I wanted to make Jehovah proud. And in my head, all these books that they had me reading about marriage, about baptism, about everlasting life, about doing everything that I'm supposed to do, they had me convinced that I had to marry this man no matter how nasty he was to me. So, flash forward, I'm already baptized. He doesn't think he has to love me for me to respect him. I have to go ahead, I'm sorry.
This baptism thing is creeping me out. Not really. Just that was the wrong word.
No, it's
So,
okay.
you fall in love with this guy, right?
Mhm.
And you talk about marriage, and he says to you, I got to let you know that I'm a JW and I believe in God and Jesus and I go to these meetings, and you knew nothing about it. And you were like, well, okay, let me. So he's not baptized. But at what point did they come to you and say that you need to get baptized? Did he say that? Did they say that? The elders said that?
They said that. So the sisters that I was studying with, I studied with, not including his mother, 3 women. And all 3 of them knew each other. So the first one I studied with, I just wasn't really progressing. So they gave me, and she couldn't really give me the time that she needed to give me as a devoted sister. So they gave me to another sister. And then where I finally got my own place, and then where I moved, I was in a certain territory where she couldn't study with me anymore. So she pawned me off to an M who was in the territory that I was in. So she started studying with me. And this woman, let me tell you, she's from Queens, and she's a Black woman. She's like very old school Black woman. And she was like to the T, like she did not let me miss a step. And she was like, your goal is baptism in the next year.
But nobody said, but your husband should be baptized too. They
Never. No one ever said that. And
Oh.
and I'll get into it, how they treated me because he wasn't baptized.
Okay.
I'll get into that in just a little bit.
I have one
Go
quick
ahead,
question
Melody.
about that too. Did he encourage you to be baptized? Was he on board with that? Did he want you to be baptized? Did he want your children raised in this? I mean, where was his stance on all of that?
He wanted our children in, like, even if he didn't go to the meeting, they were forced to go to a meeting with me. He didn't care. They had to wear their suits. These kids were wearing suits like at the age of 4 up until we left 5 years ago.
So did he
It was
want you
hell.
to get baptized too? Did he want that?
Yeah. He
Okay.
said, oh, if you're going to study, then you need to get baptized. He's like, oh, don't be lazy. You want to serve Jehovah, do it the right way. Like, it was like
But he's talking out both sides of his mouth then.
gaslighting me.
Yeah.
He was gaslighting me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, like if I get baptized, then he's going to progress. Because he did study off and on. But in my mind, I was like, if I do this, then he's gonna. I'm the type of person. Look, I wear my heart on my sleeve. If I do something, if I keep doing for someone, I think that they're gonna to reciprocate the same to me. That's how I am. I've always been like that, and I can't tell you how much love I've given out and have never received it back. Not even from the friends. Have done things and I have never gotten it back.
I know that tune. Okay.
So we're in the Dartmouth congregation. I'm by myself. And was I baptized yet? I'm trying to remember if I was baptized at this point. So many things have happened. I know you were not a Jehovah's Witness, Melody, but were you, Andrew? Okay.
Andrew is not a cult survivor. I guess I should have
Okay.
explained that.
Thank God. So I don't know if anyone else has mentioned this, but during the midweek meeting, they had 2 meetings a week. They had one like Tuesday or Thursday and then Sundays. So the midweek meeting was like, they did like a book study. They would do like special parts, like people would go up on stage and perform a part. And then once in a while they would have a local needs. So the local needs, they did a local needs one week. And this particular week, they were like, the Bible says that the male servants in the hall are responsible for the fatherless children. So even though my children had a father, they were considered fatherless children in the Kingdom Hall because he was not there. So they were like, if you see a single mom struggling with her children, and I kind of was like, oh, they must be talking about me. I'm the only one here that's a single mom. Everybody else has their husbands and their little families. And I was like, okay, so thank God I'm finally going to get help with these boys because my boys were, my house was tumultuous. There was my ex-husband was always calling me a bitch, a whore, a see you next Tuesday, calling me names, abusing the children, abusing me, just verbally and emotionally just being abusive. So they saw all this. So when kids are in that type of toxic environment, they act out. So sometimes they would act out at the Kingdom Hall. So I was grateful because I was like, yes, I'm going to get help. These brothers are going to step in and help me with these boys. And my boys are going to be raised in this truth. And they're going to become servants, ministerial servants. They're going to become elders one day. And that that week, that after that local needs, my son had a mental breakdown, my middle son, and I had to take him outside and he was crying because he was like, it was something to do with one of the parts was like about the end and those who were not in the Kingdom Hall and baptized and faithfully studying or whatever. Like I think they said that you had to be baptized to survive Armageddon. So my son started freaking out because he's like, my father's not here. My father's going to die. And I had to take him outside and explain to him that he needs to stop crying and screaming. And he's like, Daddy's going to die. Daddy's going to die. He has to be here. I got him to calm down. When the meeting was over, the state police were in the parking lot of the Kingdom Hall. And they were like, oh, someone called about a girl screaming and crying. And they knew it was my son Elijah. They knew it was him crying in the parking lot. And I like told the elders, I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't realize he was that loud. The following week, the one elder who couldn't stand my family was given the next local needs. They never did 2 local needs at once and like back to back. And it was about unruly children. And I had to sit there. The Kingdom Hall, you could have heard a piece of spaghetti drop in there. You could have heard a piece of spaghetti drop in that building. That's how quiet it was. And everyone knew he was talking about me and my children. And I felt like they slapped me right across my face. And I stayed. I don't even know why I stayed. I should have got up and I should have walked out of there. After that, I kind of like pulled back a little bit. I stopped going out in service a little bit. But then, a few of the sisters were like, oh, come out. Like, it's okay. Like, he doesn't have any kids. He doesn't understand. Like, we got your back. Okay. So they moved our whole congregation to another building in where I live. And from there, the support, the love, nothing. I remember having to call them for help several times with my ex-husband. He left. I made him leave for a couple of days and they came to see me. And one of the brothers who was a newly appointed elder or soon to be a newly appointed elder, I can't remember. He said to me, I know sisters who from the Portuguese congregation who have been beaten with an inch of their life and still faithfully serve Jehovah. That's the type of attitude you need to have. You need to stick it out and you need to be a better wife and you need to read Proverbs 31 and be that wife. Be that better wife. I'm like, I am that wife. I take care of my kids. I go to work. I have to leave work because this dude can't even take care of his own kids. He's calling me, come home. I can't deal with these kids.
Wow.
I can talk about anything.
Question.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't think you brought it up. Where was he? He worked. What was his job?
My ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
he works at a retail store. Nothing major. Yep, nothing major. Still works there. Still there. Like 15 years later, he's still there.
Did you work?
Yeah, I was a hospice caretaker.
Okay.
Which is already, I'm sure you know what hospice is. That's
Yes.
like
That's
I'm
hard.
taking care
Very
of
hard.
people who are literally
On
dying.
death's door. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And they asked me, they were like, oh, well, they get very intrusive. Have you been performing for him? Have you been, sleeping with him, having sex with him? And I'm like,
Yep.
None of your business.
and I was like I felt like I had to tell them because if I didn't, I thought I was going to get in trouble. So I'm like, yeah, I was like, but, like sometimes I don't want to. And the elder said, well, sometimes you're just going to have to lay there and take it. The Bible says that you should be laying down for your husband and taking care of his needs. He has needs. And I'm like, well, I don't have needs. I don't even want to do that because I had no sexual desire to be with him.
I got to stop and step in here for a second. Melody, I sent you something 2 days ago about the Bible. And I don't know who this person is, but I found something on social media. And this woman is, I don't know if she's a historian, but she's claiming that the entire Bible was all the books and Revelations and the Old Testament, the New Testament, all that was constructed over the last 2,000 years by different sects of religions and different clubs, and it was weird. And it was tailored to the people's needs back 1,000 years ago. And I truly don't believe that in the Bible, and if it does say that, show that to me, where it says that a woman needs to lie there and just take it from her husband. Show it to me.
I would like to see it.
Yeah.
Well, and it also
n-
said that there were apparently lots of books of the Bible that were left out that have never been translated, never been in the Bible that is available to
I
all of us.
I
But
think
yeah,
this
it
stuff
was
was put in there to serve the needs of the cults or the religious sects they
yes.
needed to, yeah,
If
the perverts needed it.
if that's in there, it's because of somebody's translation of just wanting women to be subservient.
It probably says serve your husband in a way, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to lay there and take it. I mean, probably just like in the Ten Commandments, you shouldn't, what is it? You should not, thou shalt not commit adultery. So that says you shouldn't cheat on your spouse or you shouldn't covet thy neighbor's wife or whatever. But I'm going to go off on a tangent. So I'm going to just
It's
leave it at
okay.
there.
I feel like I'm on a tangent already, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
I just don't think the Bible would say God wouldn't say that. And I have the problem with God right there. But my higher power wouldn't say that. But the fact that there's a book out there that they're telling you that it says, well, the Bible says that you got to lay there and take it or do certain things. It just doesn't. I'm not buying it. Just don't buy
Well,
it.
I'm
Yep.
just gonna say, I'm just gonna add in, that is a religion basically telling a woman to let your husband rape you. I'm sorry, that's what that is.
Thank you. And that's what it felt like sometimes.
Exactly.
Because if I didn't give it to him, all hell would break loose. So I had to pretend and fake it. And, as a woman, I know you can't understand, Andrew, but as a woman, like, we deserve to be, the Bible does say, treat your wife like the weaker vessel, but it's not in the sense of being weak. I'm not weak. If you're treating your wife like a weak vessel, you're being careful with her and gentle with her and being soft with her because you don't want her to break. That's how I
She's the
interpret
mother
it.
of your children,
Right.
and especially younger in a younger marriage. And if you want more children, uh, uh, okay, let's move on because
Okay.
I could really take a
Me
dive
too.
into this.
It's okay. So
Oh, yeah.
so this particular elder, I did tell him, I was like, well, yeah, I guess so. I was like, but then he just leaves me there in bed and goes and sleeps downstairs on the couch. He slept on the couch for half of our marriage. So he'd get what he want and then like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Leave the money on the dresser. That's how I felt. So after that, I just, I was like, okay, they don't care. They don't really care about me. And I was their sister. I'm supposed to be your sister. I'm supposed to be the one that you're supposed to be looking out for. I'm the one who got baptized. I'm the one who's out in service 30, 40 hours a week while working, while taking care of 3 kids, while cooking and cleaning my house and doing all the things that a wife is supposed to do, right?
Right.
As according
Right.
to the Bible. Um,
Well, this is what these cults do. In the
mhm.
very beginning, they welcome you, they love bomb you.
Oh,
You're part of the family. Come join us. Come to the parties, the picnics, whatever. And then once they have you,
mhm.
and and especially when you get baptized, then they just all your problems they don't care about. All of a sudden,
No.
nope.
Right.
Do you know that my sons no one ever arranged for my sons to have a play date? You would think that these brothers who had sons would be, hey, sister so and so, can we pick up the boys to go play baseball in the park? Or, hey, you want to drop the boys off? We'll watch them, we'll whatever, or you can come. They didn't do that because my ex husband wasn't involved. So they didn't want nothing to do with it. They didn't want nothing to do with the boys. But my daughter had made lasting friendships. She was a little girl and they all started inviting her over to parties and princess parties, and which I thought was weird because in the Kingdom Hall, in the truth, magic is bad. So why are we having princess parties when all these princesses have to do with magic? That was one thing that I didn't understand. But whatever, I didn't say nothing. I was like, okay, whatever. I guess we're all kind of half stepping here. Go ahead.
How many children?
I have 3.
And one of them sons.
2 boys, my oldest, and
Okay, so did either of the sons did the father bond with the sons at all? The baseball games or whatever sons did in Jehovah's Witness? Did they
my sons hate their father right now. He's a
no.
miserable
So
man. He's
no
a
play
miserable
dates
man.
and no father figure in their life. No.
Well, I think what it is that cults will tell you that they're gonna become your family in the beginning. What they don't tell you is they're gonna be a toxic family.
My family, my real family, is probably one of the most toxic families in America, like my mother's side. They're all crazy. But I would rather be around them in a whole room of them all talking shit about each other than be in the kingdom home.
Go
I'm so
figure.
serious.
Yeah.
I'm so serious. My mother's family is the most toxic people I've ever met in my life. They all hate each other. All of them. Every single one of them. Except my mom and her sister, they're close, but I don't talk to any of I have 12 cousins. I don't talk to any of them. I haven't seen any of them, most of them since I was little, by my mother's sister that she don't talk to. I don't, it's
Yeah,
whatever.
and
But,
I think that's normal. I could say the same.
and,
I kind of came from a big family. I have about 15, 25 cousins, but they're all over the
y-
country.
but you
But
understand why I would want to be in this
yeah,
religion because we're
l-
so close. We're a
yes,
tight knit
bullshit.
family. We love each other
Yeah,
so much.
in
We're
the
here
beginning.
for you. Yeah,
Yep.
in the
Hmm.
Right.
beginning, because I was baptized in 2012. Right, 2000 was it 2012 or was it
That would have been about
2014?
15 years ago. No,
It
about
was
13.
2012. It was
Okay.
November 12th, 2012, because my daughter was maybe 18. She was born in January, so January 2011. So yeah, she was almost 2. And I still remember her, Mommy's in the water. Mommy's in the water. She's getting
Mhm.
baptized. Like, she was so excited for me. And my ex-husband was standing there like he was supposed to be recording me. And he's like he didn't give a crap that the camera, he couldn't figure out how to turn on
Right.
a point and shoot camera. So he ruined that moment for me, which is fine because that moment doesn't matter anyways anymore to me. But it was just very clicky. The hall was very clicky. I don't have money. I am not a wealthy person. I've been poor my whole life, poor, whatever, rich in love and kindness, but I don't have a lot of money. And most of those people, most of those brothers and their wives, they make good money. They all live in houses. I live in government housing. I was the only one who lived in government housing, and
Stepped up.
no,
Nobody stepped up to help.
nope. Strangers did. Strangers
Go
always
figure.
helped me.
Yeah.
The strangers, the
Stra-
ones worldly strangers.
Strange, worldly, not JW. Worldly
Worldly
strange
strangers,
for you.
yeah,
Okay.
worldly. And
So
I pulled away from my family. Go ahead.
do you think that the class disparaging that had something to do with the fact that they didn't want your boys invited to the play dates? You think that was playing a part in
I
that?
I think s I think so.
Okay.
I think it had to do with my where I lived, the fact that we didn't have much money, and the fact that my ex-husband was not
Okay.
devoted to
So
studying or going to the
multiple
halls.
factors, multiple factors.
Absolutely, because I know
Okay.
because a lot of the sisters I got along with, and especially the ones that had little girls around my daughter's age, there was one that I got very close to. Her 2 daughters and my daughter were very close, and, she eventually, like, leading up to me leaving, we were very close, and especially during COVID, like, the first year of COVID, 2020, um, she was drinking, like, bad. Like, we would be on Zoom calls because that's all we could do. We weren't allowed to talk to each other in person. Like, we had to literally stay in our houses. We had these go bags at our door because they're like, "The world's gonna end by the end of this year. Everything's gonna be, Jehovah's coming through for us this year. So have your go bag ready, and we're gonna let you know where to meet." And we had on Saturdays we have our where we meet for our not Bible study, our field service study group, and that's the elder that oversaw our group. It would usually be at their house, so we would know that that's where we have to go to get the next message. But anytime I reached out to them for help, they never wanted to help me, especially with the kids, with my marriage. They wanted no part of it. I remember during COVID, this was the nail in the coffin for me. This was the point that I was just like, I don't want to be here anymore. It was during COVID, and it was I think it was it 2021 because we were still meeting over Zoom. But they have, and I don't know if you guys have heard this before, they have like special hours that you can do to pioneer. And it's 50 hours for an auxiliary pioneer. But and that's like a pioneer, full-time pioneer, like you have to go to school to do it. And it's like 80 hours a month, which I know half those people were not given 80 hours a month in service. Liars. So during these months, these special months, usually around the memorial, they would do it for 30 hours, which is like, yeah, like everyone could do that. 30 hours is easy. You can do 5 hours a week or 6 hours a week if there's, 5 Sundays or 5 Saturdays, you just count your time at that time of the week. So I applied to do it. And at the Thursday meeting, they announced everyone who had applied that week, who had gotten approved. They didn't announce my name. And I'm like, I'm kind of embarrassed because I already had told a couple of people that I was excited to apply because it was 3 months. It was March, April, and May. It was the memorial campaign, the special meeting campaign, and for the convention. So I called the elders to have a Zoom meeting. And these two elders, overseer, the same one that I told I was going to hang myself in the closet, him and another elder came on the Zoom and they said, well, we understand that your daughter is in ballet. Now, mind you, this was in 2020. She just turned 14, so she was 10, right? 2020. No, she was 9. She just turned 9. She's been in ballet since she was 4. And I'm like, hold on a second. I said, Ileana's been in ballet since she was 4 years old. And they're like, well, we didn't have any idea about that. I said, how could you not know that my daughter was in ballet? I said, your wife buys candles for her fundraiser. And he was like, and I was like, and I don't understand what the problem is with her being in ballet. They said, you're putting her in an unnecessary situation to have bad association. And I said,
with what? Bad association with what?
with other worldly kids. He said, okay, I'm going to say his name. Brother Gary. I said, are you suggesting that I should not have my daughter in a public school? And he was like, hold on, wait a minute. Oh, that's reaching. That's reaching. Children are required by the law to go to school. I said, not public school. Not public school. Where they are required by law to have an education. Why are we sending our kids to a public school when homeschooling is an option? A lot of the friends do it because they don't want their children in worldly situations. So they were like, well, it'll look bad to the other friends who are pioneering and who want to pioneer, but they can't because because of typical similar situations. And I said, excuse me. I said, Brother Korea, who was an elder and his wife was a full-time pioneer, his daughter is a dancer. Oh, this has nothing to do with them. This is about you and your family. So they were incriminating me because my daughter was in dance. I said, let's talk about what this is really about. This is because in 2020, a week before COVID hit, I really was going to kill myself on March 4th. I sat in my room and I have this like thick bar in my closet and I stared at it and I cried. And I planned to end my life that night. And I didn't even pray to Jehovah. I just said, whoever is listening, please bring peace and comfort upon me because I know the only way out of this marriage is either to cheat on him and sleep with someone else, which that's not me. I'm not that type of girl. Or end my life because I was not going to get out of this marriage. I was not going to get out of it. And all of a sudden, something like calmness came over me. I went to bed. I cried myself to sleep. The next day, he put his hands on our oldest son and he said something so vile and horrible to me, basically like for me to die from a surgery that I would have had to potentially have in front of our middle son. And my middle son was like crying his eyes out because he couldn't believe his father said something like to me like that. And I said, pack your shit and get the out of my house. And I never let him back. So when I was done. I was like, I'm done with this man. I said, I don't care. They sent me stuff about Abigail and oh my God, they sent me so many Bible accounts about women who follow what Jehovah tells them to do. And I said, with all due respect, I am not reconciling with this piece of shit abuser. He's abused my children. Previously, when the elders came to talk to me, when they said, oh, like the Portuguese sister got beat with an inch of life, he had to leave because he put his hands on our son. That was a time that he put his hands. I just remembered. It came to my thought. And the elder who told me to just lay there and take it said, the Bible says you have to choose your husband over your children. And I said, the Bible says that children are a trust from God and I am responsible to take care of them, to let no harm come to them.
That's correct.
I said, so, brother, are you going to take custody of my children if I take my husband back? Because if I take him back, then they're going to take my children. So go back to we're going back forward. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place.
That's okay.
In 2020, when I made him leave for that whole year, he was a monster, a miserable monster. And I considered if he tries and gets help and anger therapy and all of that, maybe we could be a family. And he couldn't. He could not get his shit together. He couldn't. Every day he threatened me. He told me, he would tell my kids, oh, it's okay. He was like, I'm going to buy some new boots so when the vultures come and eat your mother, we can walk right over her dead body.
Oh my
How are you going to
gosh.
say something? He would tell
Wow.
he would tell my kids that I hated Jehovah and I hated them. That's why I wouldn't let him back into the house. And the brothers did nothing about it. I'm like, can you talk to him and say something to him like, oh, well, he's not baptized, so we can't do anything about it. So when they denied me the pioneering, I stayed up this was like it was toward the end of the night, like 6, 7 o'clock at night, when they told me I could not pioneer because my daughter was in ballet. That was their excuse. I even said to them, I was like, so brothers, I said, you mean to tell me, I said, you brothers who go to the gym and work out, they don't talk to no worldly people there? I said, you men are all a bunch of contenders. I said, you guys all want to compete with each other. Who can lift the most weights? And he's like, I don't believe they talk to anyone. I don't believe our brothers do that. I said, oh yeah? I said, how about our sisters, our pioneers who are bumping their booties with me in Zumba?
Right. Yeah.
I danced with
hypocritical.
three of the elders' wives I danced with, and they were dancing Zumba's a sexual body movement dancing. They were dancing with me, on the side of me.
Yeah.
And they would talk to the otherworldly women.
That's a hypocrite move. I can see why that was
Thank
your
you.
last straw. That is very hypocritical.
But no, so I stayed up for hours and hours. I researched in the Insight book. I looked at articles on jw.org going back all the way to like 1976. I compiled them all together in notes, and I'm a writer. I love to write. People tell me I should write a book, but I can't get my ADHD brain can't get it together to do it, to put everything together in order, because it'll be all over the place. I wrote a 10-page letter, okay, on email to the CO, the circuit overseer, who, by the way, adored my family. Every time he came, he always made sure he came and seen me and my kids. He loved my family. I wrote this email to him. He got it the next day. He must have read it, must have taken him a while to read it because it was long. I added scriptures, articles, links to the scriptures, everything that I could do. He came back and said to me, this is very insightful and I'm proud of you for doing all of this work. Let me get back to you. 2 days later, the coordinating elder, not even the one who told me that I was subjecting my daughter to worldly association, called me and said, the body of elders, I'm calling on behalf of the body of elders to deeply apologize and ask for your forgiveness. And we would like to offer you the 3 months of pioneering. And I said, don't bother. I'm all set.
Oh, yeah.
I said, you know what? Brother? I said, I don't even want it anymore. I said, but I made my point and I know that I was right. And I said, and Brother Geary should be ashamed of himself because he doesn't, he's like, I don't even let my son watch Curious George because Curious George is fresh sometimes. He's a freaking monkey. He's a cartoon. Are you serious? So, that kid is either going to want to kill himself by the time he's 16 or he's going to be gay and running the streets or gang banging, doing something by the time he's 16, doing everything against what his parents want him to do. And I'll applaud him. If I ever see Levi in the streets I hope he's not shooting anybody or killing anybody.
They're all hypocritical. Every single, not just JW, but all the cults are. What they're preaching and what they're practicing behind, like you mentioned, these guys go to the gym.
I know that they're talking to worldly. Ain't nobody going out in public and not speaking to nobody. Please.
No. Okay, let's be clear.
That's a freaking lie.
Let's be clear about JWs. They ask you to knock on strangers' doors and talk to them every week.
Every week, every day, not even every week. Every day they go out and service.
So you're asking them to do exactly what they're saying that you were doing. They're saying don't associate with people who aren't JW, and they ask you to do that every day. It's ridiculous.
Yep. And the people.
I could understand like when your daughter was doing ballet, if it was some sort of, let's say your daughter was maybe 16 and she
Yep.
joined like the TikTok dancers, or she joined Britney Spears dancers, where their body movements were more of a provocative. Ballet is one of the most classiest, like, next to opera,
Grace,
and
you ain't even allowed to
graceful.
talk in
Yeah,
class.
yeah, and the fact that they can even associate how that ballet with a horrible, like, worldly, like, they're even suggested as perverted in any sense of the word. I mean, does bad stuff go on in that world? Of course it does. We've heard horrible stories, but in every part of society, there's always going to be those bad apples.
Yeah.
So, we got to start. We got to keep an eye on the clock.
Okay.
When did you start? When did you literally walk away?
So, after that, I had said to them, I want to move because my plan was to fade out, because I didn't want to stay in Dartmouth. So I was like, can you move? I want to move to Tiverton. I was going to move to another congregation and then fade out from there because I was like, I'm not even going to ever go to the meeting. It was still on Zoom. So whatever. So they moved my publisher's card. My daughter had a talk that night that they called to confirm that my publisher's card had been moved over. My daughter, 10 years old, she can write just as good as me. That girl's like a poet. She did her part, her talk, she wrote it all out, but her father wasn't picking her up for the meeting that night, so she wanted to do it over Zoom because they were like half in, half out of Zoom. They called her the day of her talk. Now it's already written and said, "Oh, we're gonna have to kindly ask that you not bring Ileana to the meeting tonight." And I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "Oh, we're removing her from the congregation. She's going to go to Tiverton with you." And I'm like, "Her talk is tonight." And they're like, "Yeah, we know." And I'm like, "She worked on this talk for 3 weeks to perfect it." And he said, "I know, but it's what the elders want. So we wish you the best, sister." Click. And I told my daughter, she cried and she was like, "I will never step foot in a Kingdom Hall again." And that was the last meeting we ever went to. That
Wow.
was it.
So, were you defellowshipped, or
No,
you
nope.
just walked away?
I just walked away and they still call me. Well, not the brothers. I haven't heard from a brother from that congregation, the new congregation that I was in, 4 years. A week before the memorial, an elder reached out to me and messaged me, "Oh, we want to invite you to. We want to invite you to the memorial." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had an event. I have an event to go to, but thank you." I didn't care. I'm like,
Good.
I'm not going. But there's a few sisters that reach out to me every once in a while. "Oh, you should come back. Don't take out what man did to you on
Block them.
Jehovah."
Just block
And
them.
you know what I say to them? You know what I said? I was like, "You're right. Jehovah didn't do that to me, but he is allowing these men who did hurt me to keep their titles, to keep the where they are in the hall. They have not been reprimanded or punished. Nothing has happened to them."
This entire religion rejected you
Mhm.
because of your, um, like you said before, your social status.
Yeah.
You were not part of whatever they were.
Yeah.
You were. So what? So you left,
Yeah.
and even a couple years later, they were calling you in. Here and there. Talk about your ex-husband. When did you divorce him? When did you?
Oh,
What? When
I
did you
kicked
cut
him
those
out
ties?
I kicked him out in 2020, and then the following June in 2021, I filed for divorce. He answered yes to the complaint for divorce. On our son's birthday, he came to my house with his saver suit on and and handed me handed me the paper that was answered yes to the complaint for divorce. And I got my paperwork in August. My date was December 17th. It was over that day.
Child
And
support?
nope, he don't pay for shit. I gave him half of the time with the kids. I gave him half,
Why?
and then
Why no child support?
because we were splitting them. We were splitting half the time together. But 2 months later, he said, "I'm going to be like every other father. I only want them every other weekend." So guess what? Me being the see you next Tuesday that I am, went and filed for
Good.
full legal and physical custody of my 3 kids.
Do you get child support?
Nope, he doesn't pay me
Did you
nothing.
get full physical
You
and legal custody? Okay,
Yeah,
we got
Yeah,
that.
but what state is this?
Sure.
Massachusetts.
Oh, you're in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I can get it,
Go for it.
but but
You have to
in
repetition the courts and
Massachusetts, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of paperwork, and it costs money. I can't. I'm no longer eligible to get the fees waived because I make too much. But yeah, I can't get any free health care or food stamps or anything. I don't get anything. I pay flat rate for my apartment. My kids, like my 19-year-old, he doesn't whatever, like I don't have to worry about custody of him, but 14-year-old, she's in the bathroom. She doesn't want to be forced because in Massachusetts, they can hold me in contempt of court if she doesn't want to go see him. So he
Mm,
has seen them. He has seen them 3 times since 2022. 3 times. All he pays for is half of dance. Every month he sends me the half of the money for dance.
Okay, that's
But I pay for everything.
something.
I buy all the food, I buy all the clothes, I pay for their rent, their heat, their phones. Everything is all on me,
yeah.
And then, I met an amazing guy. I know, Melody, you
Yeah,
probably have
just
seen
gonna
my
ask you that. I was just
Yeah,
gonna say, how's your
he's,
love life?
it's great. I'm remarried, and it's wonderful. My husband is amazing. He knows I'm crazy, and he deals with me while I'm trying to heal through all of this. And, he's like, "I'm patient. I'll wait until you're fully healed, and if you can't get fully healed, I'll hold you until you are."
So
You know?
we're gonna wrap it up, and Melody will have a final question, but I have a question first, and
Mhm.
I I have a feeling I know what the answer is, but maybe not. One of the questions we ask is, how are you? Where are you in your deconstruction process? So from the time you left to the time you are tonight, like, are you you're 50% out? You're like, are you pretty much? Sounds to me like you are just done with JW.
I'm done, and I am angry. I'm so angry.
Okay.
Like,
We
I
could we
wanna
couldn't
message
tell.
them and I'm sorry. I'm like
No,
and I
it's
was like
okay.
I told my sister, I was like, "I feel like I'm so nervous." I was like, "I hope this will be healing for me." But I feel like it is healing, but I'm like, "How could I be so damn stupid?"
Kat, remember when I said before we recorded, if you would put your video on so I could
Mhm.
watch your body language? Your body
Yes.
language is screaming, you're done. You're angry. You're so that's what I need to see. That's
You hurt
because
my baby. You hurt my baby. That was it.
they
You
hurt your
hurt my daughter.
family. Oh, well, first
Yeah,
of
my
all,
family, but a 10-year-old, you made her cry.
yeah.
You broke her heart. She
Yeah.
loved Jehovah. She loved going to her meetings. She loved her friends, and they did that to her. They did that to her, and I was like, "You know what?
So the second part of that question is, do you have a religion today? Do you still believe in God, or you're
I
just
don't
like,
know what I believe in,
okay,
honestly."
okay,
My mom is very spiritual, and she's like, "We're all on this journey. This was all written in the books before we came here, and that makes sense to me." But I'm still like, I don't
you
trust
still
any.
you
I don't.
still
I'm not gonna ever be a part of any religion. My husband doesn't believe in anything, and I'm okay with that. That's his beliefs. He's
the current husband.
Yes, I respect him. I respect what he believes in, and he's
You're probably on the right track.
yeah, but he's not religious. He will never go to step foot into a religious building. He says that religion is a scam. It's
That's
a
how I
pyramid
feel.
scheme.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like, it's a pyramid scheme. It's not real. It's just they want to get you in to abuse you, use you, and abuse you. Get your money, take your money, use it whatever.
he's not.
Sexually abuse children, abuse the women.
He's not
Right.
far off. Well,
Oh,
Nope.
yeah.
that's why this podcast exists because let's just say taking Roman Catholic and the Jewish Orthodox and let's say Presbyterian, Methodist, Baptist, take them off the table for a second. Everything else is cults, right?
Yeah.
And pretty much, and they are all they do is after your the control, your money, and everything you just went through. So
Yep.
other than the major players like the Roman Catholic Church and the Jewish Orthodox and all that stuff, who I still think borderline on that because you can't get a first row in a temple without paying a lot of money to
Right.
sit in temple, so
Yeah.
no matter how you look at it, there's money involved. So,
Yes.
okay, Melody, you have any final questions?
Well, I'm going to make just one quick statement before I ask my final questions, which is just to let Kat know it's okay to not know where you stand spiritually. I'm 31 years out now of my cult, and I still don't know how to answer that question. I know I don't believe in organized religion anymore, but when people ask me, it's okay
Uh-huh.
to say you don't know. And I'm glad. I mean, that is a perfectly legitimate answer. And it's hard for people who have been in cults to answer that way because we
Yeah.
believed for so long we had all the answers, right? When you're in, you think you
Yeah.
know all the answers. They think that they're providing you with all the answers. And it's hard to admit, you know what? I don't know. I don't know what I believe and I don't know where I stand right now. And that's one of the things that makes it hard to leave.
Yeah. And for me, I'm like, I know that I'm a good person, and I know
Yep.
that if there is a God, if there truly is a creator up in the sky, a sky person, sky daddy, whatever you want to call him, I know that he knows he can read my heart, and I know that my heart is good. I'm a damn good person, a good mother, a good wife, a good daughter. I'm just generally, I don't make fun of people. I don't do things to hurt people intentionally. You know, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I will say something that I don't mean, but I retract. Like if I think it's bad or I've hurt someone's feelings and I read their body language and they're like clutching their pearls, I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like I don't want to be offensive to you. Like,
No, and
you
you know
know,
what? That's
it's
similar because to what I've said, that I'm like, okay, if there's a God out there and I'm not doing all the right things and I don't believe he knows what I've been through. So he knows exactly why I stand where I do because he knows where I've been. He knows what we've experienced.
right.
So that last question that I'm going to ask you, Kat, is if there's somebody out there listening who is finding themselves in a similar situation, whether that's with JWs or some other organization, and they're feeling a little on the fence or they're feeling a little confused, or they're even thinking about joining, what would be your advice to them?
Okay, I have because I forgot that I wanted to say this to you, but this goes perfectly with as a perfect answer to go with your question. My best friend in the whole world, I've been friends with her for 27 years, and the time that I was in the Kingdom Hall, I wasn't allowed to talk to her, but we're like this now. She said to me when I was leaving, when I was getting my divorce, the day of my divorce, she said, if God, Jehovah, whoever, loved his daughter so much, like the Bible says, why would he let you go through that? If
Yep.
they are telling you that you have to
Thank you.
endure that, then that is not God's love. It's not God's love because your father, your heavenly father, whoever's up there loves you so much. Why would he want his daughter to go through that? And I said, that's a valid question.
It's a
Why am
very
I letting
valid
my
question, and it's
Yes.
one we
so
ask.
that was what I would say to them. Like, you think about what you go through. If your father, whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, really truly love you, why would he let you go through that? Get out. It's okay. You can reach out, find people. We're here. Your people are out here. We're a village. We love each other. We take care of each other.
Yep.
Our bond is tighter than any cult bond there is out there. Because I ain't gonna betray you and go tell on you if you tell me something, you share your secret with me and trust your life with it. I hold a million secrets in my head, even from some of those sisters. Let me tell you, they're
Oh
lucky
boy.
that I'm a good person. But
It's funny you say that, Kat, because we just posted a couple weeks ago. We had another JWX episode, and some current JW got into a debate with me on the TikTok conversation, and he actually accused ex JWs of being their own cult. They're the ones that are the cult, and I'm like, that's when I blocked him. I'm
who are
like,
we
okay.
following?
I'm
We're
just
not
like, enough of
following
this.
anyone.
Enough of this. You're blocked. And I was like,
They're
I think what it
crazy.
is that they're pissed off that XJWs are banding together and finding each other and supporting one another. It pisses them
Yeah.
off.
Yep,
Because
it
they
is.
say, oh, when you leave, you'll have nothing. That's what I was
Yeah,
told. Guess what I
exactly.
have? I have my mother. I have my
Yeah.
mother. Me and my mother are closer
And
than we have
and
ever been.
and
That's
a
awesome.
little half hour ago, you said you were struggling. That even though you and your ex-husband had a job, you said you were in like Section 8 housing or whatever. But today you're married again, and you have do you have all the basic like necessities of home and
I still live in the same apartment. Well, I live across the parking lot because I needed a bigger apartment. But I still live in the same apartment. But I work. I make the most money I've ever made. I mean, I'm still
so
not making enough to, because it's
Right.
tough right now out here. But I'm happy.
yeah.
I go to bed.
Good.
My house is clean.
So
My brain is
whatever they said to you that's going to happen if you leave didn't happen.
no,
No,
Right.
and that's what we hear
absolutely
episode after
opposite.
episode.
Yep. You've got
Yeah,
your mother.
you
You've
didn't
got
die, you
support.
didn't get cancer,
Yeah.
you didn't get hit by a bus and blah blah blah.
And the world still
No.
hasn't ended.
And the world still hasn't ended.
Yeah,
And
and I was able to remarry because my ex-husband was doing unwholesome things with his boss at his job, and I told the elders, I said, I want my scriptural divorce.
Huh?
And because a part of me was still like, oh, I need that because you need a scriptural divorce to remarry. And they confronted him, and he told me, you embarrassed me. I can't believe I had to admit that. I said, you owe it to me. You owe that to me. Now I can go remarry and be happy. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing one good thing in your whole life for me.
Good
Being
for you.
honest.
Good for you. So, yeah.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
show
you.
and
Thank
sharing
you for
your
letting
story.
me and thank you for letting me scream and yell and hit the
Good.
table. I appreciate
I hope
you
it
both.
helped. I
Oh,
hope
yeah,
it helped.
Did. I
Yes.
feel good.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon. Be well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And once again, we want to thank Kat so much for reaching out to us and coming on the show and sharing her story. And Andrew, I think that this will definitely be part of her healing process. I think she got a lot out that she's been holding in.
Yeah. To the audience, when 5 or 10 minutes before we record, it depends on the guest, but Melody usually gets the guest, and I don't get to meet them until we start to record, and we go over the policies and the boundaries and bunch of stuff. And many of them, I should say maybe 50% of them, they leave their cameras off. And they do that obviously because they're either human trafficking or cult survivors, and they want to remain anonymous. And with technology today, everybody knows what pictures you put on the internet stay on the internet. So a lot of people are very cautious about that. But when we're recording, I like to see the guest, because I can, and I've talked about this many, many times in the outros.
Yes.
I like to watch their body language, and it tells me so much where they are in their deconstruction, where they are in their healing and their faith. And she had hers off, and I very kindly asked her to turn it on, and she said no. And then she, a couple seconds later, reconsidered. And I'm glad she did, because wow, she was fired up. She was really like animated.
Yes.
And yeah, you could
And
tell
I think
that,
our audience will hear that. Even just in her voice, you can hear it.
yeah. So I just, what you just heard, you're going to hear her voice being loud and animated, but just imagine what we saw, the flailing of the arms and
Yes.
and
Yes.
you know. So yeah, it was a great interview. It's like you get to witness something. She went through this 5 years ago, and all of 20, with I guess all to the, and even though I think she's pretty much out of it,
Yes.
like has deconstructed it, she's still fired up about it. And
you know what I think it is, Andrew? I think some people really need to tell their story in order to feel that that healing for that healing to really come, because they no longer feel like they're being controlled. They're out of the control of the cult. Yes.
She saw your promos on TikTok or Instagram, I'm guessing TikTok.
Yep.
And she contacted us, and I think she needed to tell, you're right, I think she needed to tell her story.
Yes.
And that might have closed a chapter for her, maybe not, but it definitely helped her in processing the rest of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, I think so. It's always, that's when we see that and we hear that and we get to experience that with someone, those are some of my favorite episodes, because that's why I'm here, for that, to be that platform for people to be able to tell their stories and get past that and feel like they have that freedom to put a microphone in front of their voice and scream to the world what happened, how it happened. This is my story. This is how it happened. This is my truth. And I'm going to speak it. I love it.
And one thing that I found unique was many of our stories, our guests are either they're born into the cults, or they're recruited maybe out of college, or maybe some of them are different. This one was unique. She met a man, and he said, listen, if we're going to get married, you got to know I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And yet he really wasn't.
That's what I was going to say. Was he, Andrew? Was he though?
No,
he was only by title.
So during that, I was thinking of the words Pimo. Was he physically in, mentally out, or was he physically out, mentally in, or none of that?
I think Pomo, he seemed to be more physically out, but mentally in. Like he was still believed all the teachings, but he wasn't practicing any of them.
He wasn't practicing it, and I think he used it to his advantage.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know to what advantage, because it didn't seem to make money out of it, or didn't.
I think he used it to control her. I think that was his tactic. I think because he did use it as a control tactic within the marriage. I mean, but it's so silly to call himself. I mean, that would be like you running around telling everybody you're Roman Catholic. You're not. Just because
I'm
that's what
not.
you were born and raised in. I mean, that's what he was essentially doing just with JWs.
Correct.
Just because
Yeah.
that's what he was born and raised in and what he was taught, he was saying he still was that, but he wasn't practicing
It-
it. He wasn't going to the Kingdom Hall. Yeah, that was
You know
that was
what's
the
funny?
craziest. You're right. Very crazy story, unique to have somebody be pulled into a cult by somebody who really isn't even in it themselves.
What's funny is that in the last 2 years, I've had a couple medical procedures that I've had to actually be admitted. And they ask you on the forms, and it's optional, but they'll say,
Yeah.
what is your religious denomination? You don't have to answer. You can put other. But
Right.
sometimes I look over and it says Roman Catholic, and I go,
Am
was
I?
born that. I was baptized. Am I? And then I
Yeah.
ended up I look for the other. I just check the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Exactly.
weird.
Yeah, it is. But what an amazing story. And thank you
Yes.
again to Kat for coming on the show, sharing all of that
Absolutely.
with us. And as always, we also want to thank all of you for tuning into Cultimatum. We always appreciate your support in our mission to expose the truth and highlight the voices of these survivors.
If you are enjoying the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple and Spotify. And don't forget to follow, share, and keep listening to all of our latest episodes.
And you can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, and Threads for more content and updates.
And we're working, Melody doesn't know all of this, but I'm working behind the scenes on upgrading our website and some of our other media. So coming soon, actually, you can go to cultimatumpodcast.com right now, and it will take you you can listen to the episodes right from there. If you don't already, most people have it already on their Spotify. So but you can go to that. Either anonymousangelpodcast.com or cultimatumpodcast.com takes you right to the player. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Cultimatum Podcast, where we dive deeper into these important topics.
And if you are a cult survivor and you're looking for any additional support, we recommend joining the Cult Escape and Recovery group on Facebook.
If you're interested in more of my work, head over to the anonymousangelpodcast.com and you can see Digital Dating, Cultimatum, and the Weekend Rant are all over there. And if you don't know what they are, go check them out. And I think you'll like those.
And if you have a story related to cults or human trafficking that you would like to share, please email us at cultimatumpodcast@gmail.com.
Want to support the show? You can help us cover production costs by buying us a cup of coffee. And that link is in our show notes. And thank you to those people who have donated, because we have received a few donations so far.
Yes, and as always, stay safe, stay informed, and remember, you are not alone.